Revolutionary, true, and passionate. Cities 92.9. It's Conservative Cat.
Welcome to the place where we run it. Place where we run it.
The left. I deeply wish you'd wake up and realize we are in a war zone. You are suffering from mass psychosis, and this is a mess. Why do you guys give me such a headache? Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. We're going to get into some local politics. I came across this Chicago Tribune article, and I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some gubernatorial races, and we'll go from there. So Richard Irvine, I don't know how to feel about this guy. I really don't. And I'm trying to give him some fair leeway, but he's a career Democrat, and really that's all I can really say about him, right? He hugged and praised Pritzker over his lockdowns and mandates. He may play tough on crime on TV, but the truth is he really praised Democrats for praising the anti-police legislation and has prioritized criminals and handcuffed law enforcement. He can lie and spend money and try to fool voters, but Illinois Republicans know better, and they're ready for change. They need a governor who tells them the truth, and we need a governor who stands up and fights and defends our freedoms and keeps our families safe, because people are fleeing Illinois. And why? It's because we don't feel safe. Life ebbs and flows in respects to safety and risk, right? And quite frankly, the risk of living in America is high, and it's higher when you live in places like Illinois communism, right? And there was this new census data released, and that was released by WirePoints, and 81, we're talking 81 of Illinois' 102 counties lost population in 2021. Cook County lost the third most nationwide. Cook County was the biggest loser by far, with 1.7% decline in total population over the course of the year. The collar counties were a mixed bag, with Kane, Lake, and DuPage counties registering losses, and only Will and McHenry County were gaining. That's unusual, as the collar counties usually all gain residents from those fleeing Cook County. Meanwhile, downstate counties lost a total of 18,000 people. That's a 0.4% loss in population over the course of the year. So this new census data revealed that 81 out of 102 counties lost people. Here in McLean County, we gained people. And obviously, you can text in 309-451-9299. Why do you think McLean County gained people? I think it's because of Rivian, obviously, State Farm. A few of those factors are bringing people here to McLean County. I also think, and here's my tinfoil hat coming on, Chicago knows that it's a purpling county. They want to put people in this county to vote, and I wouldn't be surprised all 19 of these people are hard lefties, right, that these Chicago Democrats have installed here in McLean County in order to change up our voting and to change up the look of our county, because it's purple, right? And this is what they do in swing counties. And if you've looked, Will County, they gained people, Grundy, Kendall. These are all counties that are really, really contested, and they're important, right? Because we already know Cook County and DuPage County, those counties up there, they lost people because of the way Democrats run things. They want to try to swing these other counties in order for us to lose our state. And that's what it boils down to, my friends. Downstate counties, they lost 18,000 people, 0.4% loss in population over the year. 2021 shows that Illinois is bleeding people from every corner of the state. And it's sad, because this could be a great state, right? We've got our agriculture, and we're going to get into how our farmers are going to be impacted by these food shortages, by the wheat prices going up, by inflation, the fact that soy and wheat are a double crop, and we're going to have to change up the way we farm right here in the great state of Illinois. Food shortages are real. Russia's biggest exports are oil and gas, but Russia is also known for they're the largest exporter of fertilizer, and I'll get to why they're attacking fertilizer. But first, I really want to play this clip of Joe Biden and him just being honest with the people for once. Food shortages.
Nothing more to report. With regard to food shortages, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
Yeah, it's because we're not independent, Joe. We're not independent, and that's why we're going to be experiencing food shortages, because we rely on Russia as one of the biggest exporters of fertilizer. And now he's saying, wheat, they also are a big exporter of wheat, but this fertilizer is going to be even bigger than those wheat prices, and wheat being in short supply. And we'll get into why, because those fertilizer prices for farmers have totally spiked up because they're anticipating fertilizer to go up. We're still in the course of all of this. We're getting up to that level of I'm a farmer and I have no idea what to do at this point. It's scary, because remember way back when Joe Biden kind of got up there and he was talking about inflation, and he was like, oh, well, don't worry about it. This is natural. Some inflation is good. You guys remember the left and their talking points and how they tried to spin it to where inflation is good. I'm getting sick of the gaslighting. This is absolutely ridiculous. This was 3-4 weeks ago, and I'm looking at the news and how these headlines have changed, and nothing has changed other than the fact that we are getting closer to the end, right? The Great Reset. And Glenn Beck talks about it, and we'll talk about it a little bit more here. But back then, Joe tried to spin it and say that inflation was going to be a good thing. What do you think is going to happen when food shortages are here and Joe Biden is saying they're real? He tried to lie his way out of inflation. At this point, Joe has given up, and he said, you know what? I'm just going to say food shortages are real, and we're just going to roll with it because we know that they're coming. And I don't think I can spin this any more than I did with inflation. So, the left sees this as a good thing. The whole fertilizer, the attack on fertilizer, the attack on food and these food shortages, they see it as a good thing. And here's why. I've looked into fertilizer and what the left thinks about it, right? They think that it's going to kill you and I because it's so bad for the environment. And I don't understand it. Coming from a farming background, that really makes little to no sense, especially because of all of the crazy things EPA has placed on fertilizer. But we won't get into all of that. It's evil that we have to fight against their push for renewable energy, because who's going to suffer? It's actually going to be you and me, right? Because we're continuously trying to fight and push back against it. Capitalism, I'm wearing a button. My producer, Kev, he gave it to me this afternoon, and it says capitalism keeps America clean. And yes, it does. This clip, it's terrifying for two reasons. The Biden regime is clearly exploring regime change in Russia. His mind, Joe Biden's mind, is so feeble and too undisciplined to keep the top secret parts secret, right? There were already things that have come out in the past couple weeks about us having special forces down there surveying in Ukraine. And he has slipped multiple times and has said that we're going to put troops in Ukraine. And it's like, whoa, why are you giving away all of our cards right now? It's almost like he wants America to fail. It's almost like he wants everybody to know our secrets before we've even dealt our cards out. He just blurts them out. And reason two why this is absolutely terrifying. This clip I'm going to play for you. The Biden regime, it displays an arrogance that is pretty disgusting. Perhaps Biden is just behaving like the post-Soviet era relic he is, or perhaps it's something much darker. And we're going to play that when we come back. But Joe Biden's really got to stop calling Putin names because we're running up on a quick break. I've got about 30 seconds left. But hey, text in 309-451-9299. We're going to play this clip for you. It's terrifying for two reasons. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9.
Cities 92.9. It's Conservative
Tens of
Cat.
thousands on my right, thousands by my side. War between good and evil, watching our fists collide. Battle for our freedom now, to the streets we ride. Flags waving all around, pages full of pride. This is where we make a stand, no more give or take. March around the capitals, only city gates. Putting pressure on their necks.
I drive a truck and I see many empty farmhouses. Question mark. You can text in. That was a text on our hotline. That's 309-451-9299. You can also call in anytime. Have a conversation with me. Be a part of the show. I hope you're having a great Saturday. I know I am. It's a beautiful day despite it being super cold. But I'll tell you what's cold. The hearts of the lefties, right? And that Rush Reed, the lack of oil, it's causing farmers to fail. Then foreign companies are going to scoop up these failing farms. Yes, so it's all by design, right? They want these farmers to fail because they're the backbone. And I know that's a cliche, but it's true. They're the backbone of America, and they're actually the backbone of Illinois. And once the farmers go, right, guess who's knocking on your door and saying, hey, I want to take over this land, and I want your food, and I want everything that you've produced, and I'm going to take that and use that as government food, and I'm going to distribute it the way I want to. And I really do believe that we're on the verge of that. All of these empty farmhouses, farmers aren't dumb. Farmers aren't dumb. They see what's happening, and that's why farmers, you talk to a farmer, they're most likely the ones who have arms, who bear arms. And the reason why is because they know what's at stake when the government starts to overreach. They'll come into your home and they'll take your property because we're going to be in a national food shortage. And Joe Biden said it. Like, I'm not coming on here and I'm not trying to spew out conspiracy theories, although it is a lot of fun sometimes. Joe Biden said food shortages are real. We're 90 days out from a national food shortage. We only have, and that's kind of how the food supply chain works, right? We have 90 days. Once we start to see food supply start to trickle away, that's how long we have out, 90 days. Wheat accounts for 15% of our food. I mean, there's a lot of products that have wheat in them. Now, this clip, we didn't get to it before we cut to break. This clip is terrifying for two reasons. The Biden regime, they're clearly exploring regime change in Russia. They want the authoritarian dictator Putin out of Russia. And by all means, yes, I think that there should be no authoritarianism. There should be no communism. The only thing that works is a constitutional republic. And look at our track record. Look at capitalism. Look how it all plays out. Yeah, they don't want Putin in there. We saw that Joe Biden had called Putin a thug, and oh gosh, what else did he call him? He's using this inflammatory rhetoric, and it's kind of concerning because they're exploring how this regime can change Russia and the way they govern their people. And my friends, that's the Great Reset, right? They want to change governments around the world. It's called New World Order. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but it's true. It's playing out right in front of our eyes. His mind is pretty feeble, undisciplined, and he can't keep secrets. Joe Biden cannot keep a secret to save his life, right? He just blurts them out. He says the quiet part out loud. He even came out and said, he goes, I believe that the United States is supposed to be the leader in the New World Order. He said this, a direct quote. And I wish that these lefties, I wish that people would just wake up. I started out the show saying, I really just wish you guys would wake up. It's not because I don't like you. I just want you to realize this. But this audio clip also displays some arrogance. And perhaps Joe Biden is behaving like this Soviet-era relic that he really is. And I'll get into that after in a little bit. We'll talk about Hunter Biden and his ties to the Soviet Union and Ukraine. And that, by default, Joe Biden. But perhaps he's behaving like the post-Soviet era relic he is, or perhaps it's actually much darker. So let's play that cut.
We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. God bless you all, and may God defend our freedom, and may God protect our troops. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is really dangerous, right? Stop calling Putin names, Joe. You're not in any place to do that. Not when you have North Korea breathing down our necks. So there was a missile attack, and it wasn't North Korea. It was Houthi, the rebels. They attacked an oil depot in Saudi Arabian city of Jeddah. And there was a lot of fallout from that, a huge explosion. And then you have Rocket Man Kimmy. He's publishing these videos of him, and they're quite good. I don't know who his production guy is, but I'm going to post it up on our social media. Head to Cities929 on Facebook, and you can see the video. But he published this video of him in like this leather jacket, and the cameras are like pointing at these huge missiles. And he's saying that he's preparing for a long drawn out hostility with the United States. We are now in a place where we have somebody who's feckless, who's calling people names and using inflammatory rhetoric, right? And where is the left? Because I remember Donald Trump was the one who constantly used inflammatory rhetoric, and the left always pearl clutched, and they were crazy about it. Also, let's be real. Hunter Biden worked in these Ukraine labs, and I'll get into that story in just a minute here. But here's some reasons why we can't be playing with this inflammatory rhetoric, okay? Russia is accepting Bitcoin as payment for energy exports. They're going to try to accept these. That's what Pavel Zavaleny said. He's a chairman of their energy committee, and they're not messing around anymore. Right. This is a baseless push for energy that the United States, the European Union, a lot of these, woke countries that constantly push LGBTQ plus ABC, a Batman sign, another Q. But they constantly push this green energy, and they're creating their own energy in Russia. They're creating their own economy, to be frank with you. And this is what he had to say, their energy committee chairman. He says the currencies can be different, and it's a normal practice. If it's Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin. They have no fear at this point, right? They don't care that they're changing up their entire economy. They're going to be working in cryptocurrency, and so they're changing to that type of currency. Also, Sleepy, you have Elon Musk. He's basically the inventor of electric vehicles. He's coming out and he's saying, yo, Joe, get it together. We cannot be doing this. Stop pushing for electric vehicles via EO and stop sleeping with the electric vehicle companies because you're just making it worse. So Elon Musk said, it's very important that Germany does not shut down its nuclear power plants. I think that's totally insane. So you've got Germany, you've got the European Union, you've got NATO, you've got the United States, and they're all pushing for one thing, and that is to reset when it comes to energy. And he's also got to look in his backyard, right? Joe Biden, on Ukrainian refugees crossing into Poland. This is what he had to say. We understand that because we have southern border immigrants, thousands of people every day trying to get into the U.S. Joe Biden said that. He goes, yeah, we understand these Ukrainian refugees, and I understand too. I really wish this wasn't happening. It's evil against evil. I've said that multiple times here on Conservative Cat Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I've said that Russia is evil, but the United States is evil. Don't be mistaken. That's what they're doing. They're trying to reset. And he's got all these problems. He's got North Korea breathing down our necks. We've got Elon Musk, one of our, domestic billionaires. I think you should listen to what he has to say, considering he practically invented the electric vehicle. And we've got all of these issues, and Joe Biden gets out there and he starts to say, yeah, Putin, we need to go after him. And he uses this inflammatory rhetoric, and he's trying to create a regime and infiltrate Russia and their government and replace it with what? Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. What is Joe Biden trying to replace the Russian government with? What kind of change does he want to see in Russia? Text it in, 309-451-9299. You can also call in, 309-451-9299. We're pushing up against a break. But hey, Hunter Biden, I've got a story for you. It turns out, that whole Ukrainian deal, not a conspiracy. Keep it right here. Lefties, I deeply wish you would wake up and realize that you are in the midst of the greatest mass psychosis mess. Why do you guys give me such a headache? Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. So Richard Irvine, I was talking about him a little bit. He's a career Democrat. He hugged and praised Pritzker over his lockdowns and his mandates. And he played this tough on crime guy on TV. And I kind of am seeing through it a little bit, right? And to be honest, I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and have an interview with him. So I would love to chat with him, but I've extended the offer, hasn't gotten back. But the truth is that he did praise Democrats for passing things like this anti-police legislation, and he prioritized criminals and handcuffed law enforcement, essentially. But this Chicago Tribune article, it praises this criminal justice bill. And all of a sudden, this Republican candidate for governor, he's also the Aurora mayor, Richard Irvine, he repeatedly attacked Governor J.B. Pritzker for this criminal justice package. But prior, he's always been behind this criminal justice reform, criminal reform. He even did a survey in regards to Black Lives Matter. But I bring it up now because 309-451-9299. That's our hotline. We have a caller on the line. Caller, you're on Cities 92.9.
Hey, Conservative Cat. Love your show. This is Leon.
Oh, hey, Leon. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, I can.
And what I was going to ask you or wonder, do you have any idea if the Pritzker campaign will encourage crossover Democrat voters to try to get Irwin in?
Oh, yeah. I think that Pritzker is going to try to install these people. So there's a lot of times where there will be Pritzker plants, is what I call them, out at certain events of all of these gubernatorial candidates. It's not just exclusive to, Richard Irvine, Darren Bailey, or Jesse Sullivan. They'll put these Pritzker plants in there. And what they pretty much gather intel. So what I'd imagine is going to happen is that there's going to be these conservatives that go out there and try to campaign on behalf of Richard Irvine, and they're actually just Pritzker plants. And I know that's very tinfoil hatty, but that actually happens. What it is, it's these big agencies in like Chicago, and they decide, hey, you know what, this is a purple county. We need to do our very best, and we need to try to get this county to turn blue. And we're going to bring down...
a crazy thing that's happening in politics now. and Mr. Canada Bailey is such a strong conservative, and Republicans need to be aware of that. That sure, there's going to be the attempt to get Irwin the votes he needs from the Democrat Party, and it's just we kind of need to talk about that too. So I thank you for taking my call.
Oh, no, thank you, Leon. I appreciate it. And you're totally right. What they're going to try to do is trying to steal all of these votes away from Darren Bailey. And if that means putting in 7 candidates, then they're going to do it, right? I don't believe that all of the candidates are maliciously plants, right? I don't believe all of them are Pritzker plants. I do kind of believe that about Richard Irvine. I haven't seen anything else to suggest otherwise, right? And there's all kinds of things that I think that the Democrats, or that actually Republicans, if you're a true constitutional conservative, there's ways to combat that. So actually, Richard Irvine, he's a slated candidate. And look that up on Google. So slated candidates are these people who get on these petitions and then they don't have to go and get all of these signatures themselves. They're slated with other candidates, right? And this is what I've heard through the grapevine. He's actually slated, which is a big red flag to me. It's like, okay, you're not even able to go and get your own signatures. Why would I vote for you if you can't even get on the ballot in a legitimate way? I mean, it's legitimate. It's not illegal, right? You can slate yourself as a candidate, and people do that. I don't like it. I think that needs to be something that we address as an Illinois, as a state, that we need to cut out these problems in our voting systems, right? Non-citizens should not be able to vote. There's voter bills and laws that gives non-citizens more rights when it comes to the ballot box than us, than citizens, United States citizens, and it just boggles my mind. But there's things that we can play with as Republicans, right? And we should be challenging petitions regularly. Now, I do have an Richard Irvine ad pulled up, and it's called Law and Order themed. Kev, producer, he's over there across the way, gave it to me, and I think this is going to be a good commercial. Let's listen.
A riotous mob, the police outnumbered, but backed up by their mayor. Richard Irvine called in the guard, closed exit ramps, shut down the riots.
Aurora will be ready for you if you come to our community wreaking havoc. We will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. We will not put up with this BS and foolishness. This, I guarantee.
They tried to burn his city down. Richard Irvine took it back. Elect Irvine governor. We'll take back our state.
See, there again, I just don't understand why Richard Irvine feels so confident to lie like that, or to at least be so bendy. I mean, when he was Aurora mayor, he thanked Pritzker for all of these mandates, which disparaged the black community, right, and caused them to be marginalized. So why the heck would you praise Pritzker, who's actually defanging our police as we speak right now with that egregious Safety Act? And if you didn't catch the podcast on cities929.com, you can go there right now, click on the podcast, or Spotify, right? We're on Spotify now. You can look up Conservative Cat, Cities 92.9. And you can click it. And I did an entire long, drawn-out interview with one of our Woodford County deputies, and he had said that this Safety Act is not helpful to law enforcement in any way, shape, or form. And Aurora was actually one of the places he had mentioned as one of these bigger police departments poaching small departments like here in McLean County. I mean, it's smaller than Aurora. I mean, it's kind of, it's bigger, right? But it's bigger than Woodford, I'd imagine. But they're poaching people from these smaller departments, right? Our county sheriff's offices, and they're looking for deputies to pull from there, and they're bringing them to Aurora. So, of course, Aurora Mayor Richard Irvine is going to try to tout his role as a prosecutor, and then he's going to tout his role as saying, oh yeah, I've got so many law enforcement agents, and we've got deputies. Yeah, it's because you're poaching them from people like us, and this is what I'm talking about. It's the Great Reset. Guess who's not going to have a police officer called out to their home when you need them? It's me, it's you, it's people who live in like rural communities. I'm looking at you, listeners in Colfax. I'm looking at you, listeners in Cooksville. When you pick up the phone, are you going to have a police officer come out there? No, because guess what? Aurora Mayor Richard Irvine approved things like increasing the salary and doing these sign-on bonuses for police officers to try to incentivize smaller police officers to come up to Aurora. And this is all big government. When you have big police centralized in these inner city, in these big cities, that's where we start to see disparity. That's where we start to see inequality. I know you love that word, lefties. Oh, Kev, you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, according to the Chicago Tribune, Aurora saw a 40% increase in shootings in 2020, with other crimes up as well. The city had 154 shootings in 2020, and so I just find it ironic that he pushes a law and order agenda when he can't even control crime in his own city.
Yeah, well, and Aurora Police. So why are the Aurora Police Department, they're poaching these smaller communities for police officers? Why are they doing that? It's because the Aurora police officers don't want to work anymore because of the rhetoric that has surrounded law enforcement. Not only that, but also other states like Florida, like the free state of Florida. They're incentivizing police officers to go there with $5,000 sign-on bonuses. And it's like, hey, maybe I'll have more freedom down there. Maybe I don't have to act as the COVID-19 police and force these mandates down our citizens' throats, because that's not my job. And that is what really peeved off officers more than anything else. Right. It's the fact that they had to go out there and act as COVID-19 police. I remember when I went to this Bloomington Public Library meeting, and there were a couple people in this Bloomington Public Library meeting where they didn't have masks, right? And people called the police on them. And guess who showed up? The police. Could you imagine being pulled in that direction as a police officer when you've got people shooting people in the streets of Bloomington? I mean, just here a few weeks ago, we had somebody who was who got tasered, right? And was tasered with a taser. And it was a case of mental illness, right? And that's what it kind of sounded like. But we have people who straight up perform terrible crimes and are participating in acts of crime that are absolutely terrifying and cripple communities. And we're going to go and send officers, not one, but two officers to a Bloomington Public Library to tell somebody to put on a mask? This is a joke. It's a joke. So, yes, I thank the caller, Leon. He is a great friend of mine. I love Leon. But, yeah, this mass corruption doesn't stop, right? We have corruption in Springfield, and actually Jesse Sullivan brought forward a case, and he was talking about trying to investigate Pritzker's administration when it comes to Michael Madigan. And the mass corruption doesn't even stop there or in our police departments or in the mayor's office of Aurora. It goes beyond it. Our United States House Speaker has direct ties to communists, commies. It isn't a huge surprise, though, considering that our highest position in the highest court, right, a Supreme Court justice, that's probably one of the highest positions you could have in the United States, is going to be filled by a child predator sympathizer. But listen to this. FBI, they quietly released all of these documents on Nancy Pelosi's father. His name is Thomas. These files disclosed quietly as America is fixated on the unfolding crisis in the nation's capital during January 6th, right? The crisis that was happening on January 6th, they distracted this leakage of documents. The news media continues to act as if these revealing documents don't even exist. Among the revelations is this Thomas guy, right? Her daddy, who was a member of Congress, and he was the mayor of Baltimore. He has direct ties to communist organizations, including a Soviet, are you ready? A Soviet front group. What is going on? we have the House Speaker's dad directly involved with a Soviet group. And then we see everything playing out before our very eyes right here in the United States when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine conflict and Russia practically wanting to bring the Soviet Union back. I don't think that's a coincidence, and I think there's a question to be asked here. What was her dad doing with this Soviet front group? This also leads me into the next corruption story, right? And I promised we would get to this. I teased it a little bit. We were supposed to stop bioweapons research after the Soviet Union disbanded, right? So what are your thoughts on bioweapons research? Call or text in. It's 309-451-9299. That's our hotline and text line. You can always chat with me here on Conservative Cat, Cities 92.9. Me? They're way too dangerous. And that crap needs to stop, like yesterday. No more bioweapons research. I am opting out of that right here. We shall look no further than the COVID-19 deaths. Am I right? Especially gain of function. That research is incredibly dangerous. Also, one thing that's been kind of playing on my mind here all week is this push for people to keep their head in the sand. Have you not seen this Hunter Biden story and not just thought to yourself, biolabs, Ukraine, Wuhan lab leak, and the gain of function research that happened there, Fauci has been mysteriously quiet. It's okay to be curious, my friends. It's all right. Make no mistake, Joe Biden, he's using this inflammatory rhetoric, but really nothing more except, okay, this joint task force for the White House to help Europe address the fact that they're still buying from Russia. They don't need Europe, Joe. What are you not getting about this? Believe me, I don't want us to go into a war, but we're in it. Why? Putin is doing giving the big old middle finger to the United States. Putin knows what Joe Biden and his family were doing. And there was a new story that came out, right? So Joe Biden's son, Hunter, helped secure funds for these U.S. biolab contractors in Ukraine. And this isn't a conspiracy because this is according to emails. I'm going to post the story on our Facebook page. Hunter Biden, he helped secure these funds for these bioweapons labs using this contractor. And there's just a trove of emails from his infamous laptop, the existence of which was exclusively reported on by the Post. And I commend them because that was the first article that ever came out back in October of 2020. Remember when they shot that down as a conspiracy? But now these emails are showing that Hunter Biden, yes, crack pipe and Hunter Biden, he had an investment run by his son, Hunter Biden, and funded research and the implementation of that research for the United States military biological weapons program. It's obvious that Joe Biden and his father, he's the head of the state, he had to have been aware of that activity, right? And this is all found in via email. I'm not trying to come on here and really just clamp on a tinfoil hat. But these are questions that need to be raised. Why did Nancy Pelosi's dad have these files? And why are these files showing that he has direct links to this Soviet front group and a bunch of communists? He was a former member of Congress. Why is Hunter Biden funding gain-of-function research? Sounds eerily similar to Fauci, right? We should really start playing the left's game, though. And I'm tired of people being so head in the sand. I mean, all of this local drama, and that's what it is. It's just drama within McLean County. It's not even like, I'm doing this because I want to. It's drama, and it goes on right here in Bloomington Normal. I want to see more gubernatorial candidates and call for things like Jesse Sullivan did this past week. An investigation to be conducted on these Madigan hacks. Pritzker definitely has people in Springfield that have ties to Madigan. Otherwise, they wouldn't be creating candidates like Richard Irvine, right? They're scared senseless. We've got him on the run, so let's capitalize on it. Darren Bailey, he came out and sued the governor back in 2020. These are things we need to normalize. We need to start playing the left's game. And I'm not saying that we need to be evil, we need to be mean, but we can start playing these games that they like to play with us all of the time. And I'm talking to my constitutional conservatives out there, because these are the times where opposition is trying to reset our very way of life. Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. Come back after the break. We're going to have a special guest, and she is standing up to Peoria School Board. Liberty started shaking. Sometimes I just miss the way he said China. Right? China. Hey, it's Conservative Cat Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if we had freedom again? Richard Irvine. Oh, Richard. Rick. He did lower crime in his first year by 40%, right? Mayor Richard Irvine, because he'll never be governor. I'm sure of it. I'm pretty sure. It's just like, you lower crime in your 40% by 40% in your first year. And then in your second year, it raised by 200%. And that's according to the Better Government Association. Kev gave that to me. An alarming statistic that I'm not shocked about, because this is what the left does. They always tout the things that they know that they can tout, and then they don't provide a bigger context. So Kev was talking with me over the break. People in Naperville, and that's kind of my neck of the woods too. That's where I kind of grew up. People in Naperville are seeing just troves of crime happen. And guess where it's from? Aurora. I've been in Aurora, and I have a lot of family, a lot of people who live in Aurora, and they don't like it there. They don't like it there because crime is absolutely running rampant. And guess what? We actually put them in elected offices, and that's kind of a tease to our next guest. Jessie, she's standing up to the school board, and it turns out I think one of these school board officials actually has a record of some kind. We're going to hear more about that next segment, so you're going to want to stick around. But I'm going to set this up for us a little bit. This is a story that was done by The Patch, and it was a woman, and she this week warned Lyons Township High School, their board members, that they could go to federal prison and lose all of their possessions. Yeah, this woman is absolutely, inspirational, honestly. So at a Monday board meeting, Lindsay Dillon, she was the one who spoke out at these board meetings before, right? So she presented what she said was a letter of intent to file a claim with the school's insurer. So this is kind of like a different way of approaching problems in local government, right? She's thinking outside of the box. She wants to scare these people into thinking, hey, you know what? I either need to clean up my act or I need to get out of office. That's what she's intending to do, right? And the left does it to us all of the time, right? Look no further than the Russian hoax and President Donald Trump. They tried to scare him out of office. Let's play the game, shall we? Let's play the game like the left constantly does. So she said that the board's failure to respond to her aforementioned demands within 72 hours would result in the claim being filed. So she said, because you didn't answer my email correspondence, this is going to create problems for you. I'm going to file this claim. So, Kev, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, Lyons Township High School has been in the we can see from this and many other instances how corrupt their school board is. Leslie Mendoza, a good friend of mine, tried to start a Turning Point chapter at that exact same high school, and the school board consistently shot it down, claiming that Turning Point USA is a partisan group, which by definition, Turning Point USA is not a partisan group. Yeah. So thank God for this woman for standing up against that corrupt school board, because they have been silencing people consistently.
Yeah, and this is the way we have to go about it. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her speech and what she's actually putting into this claim up next, and then we're going to bring in our guest, and she's fighting a Peoria school district. Absolutely appalling what they're doing to these poor kids, not even letting them participate in a conservative ideology network that actually actually is super beneficial to them. Hey, stick around. It's conservative cat.
The DT the great, and we've run it. Hate and we shun it. No competition, the up to the place where we run it. Place really.
Crime is running rampant. But guess what? We put them in elected offices. But there are people speaking out and who are totally unafraid. Jesse is in studio with me, and I do want to get into this little story before we talk with her about what's going on in Peoria. I came across this. It was the patch. Jesse actually sent it to me. And a woman this week warned Lyons Township High School board members that they could go to federal prison and lose all of their possessions. Quite a claim, right? Quite a thing to say. At Monday's meeting, Lindsay Dillon, she spoke in at board meetings before, and she said that there was a letter of intent she intended to file and claim with her school insurer, and she said the board's failure to respond to her aforementioned demands within 72 hours could result in that claim being filed. So she accused the board members of practicing medicine without a license, giving pornographic materials to students, violating students' religious rights, imprisoning students, bullying, and causing mental anguish. And this is what she had said directly. That means you could lose your jobs, your cars, and your retirement. You are in violation of multiple state and federal laws. And I do believe that masking of children is in violation of the law. And it is. I mean, there was an entire court case that said that this is evil. A judge in Sangamon County deemed it evil to mask up children. So we have Jesse in studio with us on Cities 92.9. It's Conservative Cat. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. We've got so much to tackle. Okay. So we're going to get into this school board president, and his name is Wilson, Gregory Wilson. And this is what he had to say not too long ago in a article back in July of 2021. He says, I think the return of school will be one of those major situations where we have to get out in front. Last year, we had school year that we basically went virtual for the whole year. It worked for some, not for others. Learning loss has occurred. Some didn't fare well. Some need to ensure that we have the tools and resources to recover. Now, Wilson, he's a firm believer in masking for unvaccinated children. He goes, I, for one, am in support of schools wearing masks, always safety first. You know, what really bothers me and what Jesse has brought to my attention is that he knowingly and without legal justification made physical contact of insulting or provoking nature with Naomi Thomas, a family member or a household member of the defendant, in that he struck Naomi Thomas. So this is all public knowledge.
Yep.
And Jesse, you've been FOIAing, doing your due diligence. So tell me what this is all about. This case against him, and why is he a school board president?
That's what we want to know. Who did the background check first off, because who lied? I mean, I understand that this charge may not be something that's disbarment or, but he struck a 7-month, she was 7 months pregnant with twins. And even in the sheriff's report, he fractured her neck. And this is a guy who is in charge of our children, excuse me, and makes very important decisions for our children. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, this is all public records.
Yeah, you're
I was able to get this FOIA'd and get all these requests sent to my house. It is amazing that nobody does their research, because if we would have dug in like I have, he has 4 pages of convictions.
He does.
From theft, drug charges, to DUIs, to speeding tickets, seatbelt tickets, to 2 domestic batteries. How does this skip past the background? Like, this is what we're up against. And, he's wanting to force mask and mandate us, but he's at other universities maskless. I have pictures. I've done my homework. And we followed the money. I mean, $265 million to force, mandate, and mask our children, while he goes to other universities and schools.
Now that $265 million?
Yes.
Now, where is that number coming from? Is that the ESSER fund?
Yep.
Those are the ESSER funds. So, can you Do you know what ESSER funds are?
Yeah, it's the federal monies.
Yeah, it's federal money, and what it was designed to do. In Bloomington and Normal, we have gotten ESSER funds, and basically what it's supposed to do is set kids on track, and they have different installments, right? $265 million from the federal government for what? For what? Masking kids? Like, how much money does that really take? Right? Does it take $265 million worth?
Right.
I'm sorry, but this guy, I can't believe what I'm reading here, and I can't believe this guy got elected. You have to do your homework. We had somebody in Bloomington Normal. He's a superintendent, and he is a Bloomington District 87 superintendent, and his name's Barry Riley. And he actually, there's emails, and you can check out the story on Cities 929. Just look up Fitzgerald Samity. He's a school board member, and he had a couple DUIs. And the superintendent there went after him for a couple of DUIs, and he's from Haiti, a black school board member, and he went after him, and I couldn't understand why. I wouldn't be shocked if something is
always
there. There's always something there when it comes to these school board presidents, when it comes to these superintendents, the people who are constantly masking up your kids, but they're not living out the values that they try to push. And a direct quote from a Journal Star article. This is what Wilson had to say. I, for one, am in support of our schools wearing masks, because you want to know why? This is the justification he gave. Always safety first. It doesn't sound like Naomi Thomas was
not very safe, is he?
No, it doesn't sound like the member of this household was very safe when he struck her, and was it has a
7 months pregnant,
a misdemeanor. So I actually looked this up. The school board members, right? They cannot serve in any kind of municipal office if they have a felony on their record. This is a misdemeanor.
It is.
So this is why he is continuing to serve as the school board president. This is what I'm talking about. You have to be awake to these sort of issues.
Yes.
So I also want to touch on Project Veritas and this $265 million number when it comes to these ESSER grant funds.
Yes.
So you're in touch with Project Veritas.
I am.
For those of you who don't know, Project Veritas is basically an investigative journalism type.
They dig below.
They do. They leak audio. I've played some audio for you guys on the Morning Rush, which is on Cities 92.9, 6A to 9A. We've played it on Speechless. We've played a lot of Project Veritas audio. Met James O'Keefe, cool guy, and
yes, he is.
At the student,
he's cool.
He is cool, and you're in touch with Project Veritas.
I am.
And what is Project Veritas going to try to do?
Expose Peoria
For these ESSER funds.
Everybody, listen. When you start digging and doing the rabbit holes, it goes deeper than what you think. I have dug, and listen. In 2012, I found an article where it was. The school board had to pay out $450,000 because they they kicked someone off they tried firing a teacher for using a racist word or whatever they called it, but she won. So they had to pay her $450,000 restitution. Crazy, right? Like, you start digging and digging and you will find
$450,000 restitution. Why?
Well, rules for thee, but not for me type folks. The corruption is so deep. We have learned that they're governing themselves. They are the school board. We have heard through the grapevine that you could vote, right? But it's not going to reach the ballot. They're just governing themselves. So how do you get them out? So now we have to take steps to learn how to have a meeting. Like, we're coming hard. I just want people to know you're going to see Peoria on the map soon. Yeah. And when you do, it's going to wake a lot of people up, because a lot of people turn a blind eye.
They do. This guy is the president. So
the president
of the school board. Now, I've got to look into this, but I'm pretty sure that the school board elects amongst themselves who's going to be president. And what the president does is kind of facilitate the meetings. That's what the president is there for, and they kind of keep the meetings on track. Now, the school board is in charge of also appointing these superintendents. This guy, I'm holding in my very hands the FOIA work that you've done, Jesse.
Yeah.
On Gregory Wilson, and he does have a misdemeanor for domestic battery. And there's a report that goes into detail of, what
we
happened.
have a sheriff's report, and it says it all plain as day what happened that day.
And we are coming up on a break, but Jesse did mention to me in the break, before we had done this segment, about this foundation that Gregory Wilson, a school board president who happens to have a misdemeanor for domestic battery and continues to mask up children in the name of safety. We're going to touch on that foundation and exactly how deep and corrupt that goes right here on Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. Don't go anywhere.
To the streets we ride, flags waving all
It's
around.
Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, and crime is running rampant, and we're electing criminals in very, very important positions, especially positions that have to deal with our children. And people are afraid to speak up, and I'll tell you why. Because it's convoluted, it's concerning, it's scary, right, what these people are capable of. This is Conservative Cat Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Be sure to call and text in. I've got a special guest in the studio. We're talking all things school board, and he, in the name of safety, says that he wants to mask up children. This is Gregory Wilson, and he's a school board president. And he turns out he's got a misdemeanor for domestic battery. And not just that, quite the rap sheet. I mean, I am looking at these charges, and he's got DUIs, he's got all kinds of things on his record, these domestic battery charges, 2012. And I've got Jessie in studio with me, and she is a mother of a Peoria high school student, correct?
Yep.
And she's been doing some digging. She's even in touch with Project Veritas, and we want to get into these PPP loans. So, a PPP loan, what is it? It's a loan of forgiveness to provide economic relief to small businesses and certain entities that have been adversely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. So, I totally agreed with these PPP loans when it came to, small businesses, small farmers,
yes,
things like that. It's terrifying when people use the system to benefit, and this is exactly what Gregory Wilson is doing. So she's shown me some of these businesses that Gregory Wilson actually has ties to, right? He's a founder of a lot of these corporations. And he's filed and pretty much made claims for all of these loans, right? And he's getting lots of money. So he's the co-founder and host of this Kings and Queens podcast. He's a member of this Alpha Pi fraternity, right? And he's got all of these different businesses, Elite, and there's this Goals for Women that he's also the founder, executive director, and CEO of. And he, in the name of these PPP loans, have been kind of getting money and exhausting the system when it comes to these PPP
We're not
loans.
talking 5,000-10,000.
No. How much? We're talking
anywhere from 50 to 70,000.
50 to 70. Each loan. And there is a list of businesses, companies here that he has direct affiliation with that funnel money to these businesses. So he's getting a lot.
Just last year
of money.
Yes.
A lot of your money.
Yes, April and May of last year, he got 40,000.
I know some of our listeners are from the Peoria area, right? Our reach gets out there, and your taxpayer dollars could be funneling right into the pocket of these businesses.
It's corruption,
that he
guys.
has. It's so bad. That's so awful. I can't believe that. And he's a school board president. So I wonder, and I'm sure Project Veritas is doing some digging here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to find out, and we have got to find out. I don't know the laws on it, and this is why this is so hard to keep up on. It's because it goes with so many levels. The question would be, is this illegal? Obviously, it's an ethics breach. You're using taxpayer dollars, and you're filing a lot of these loans for your businesses, but I wonder if it's illegal for an elected official to get in there and start asking for these PPP loans.
Because if you dig, Elite Youth Outreach is Carl Cannon, but he has it listed down as a PPP loan. So, I mean, this is real. This is real. So he's using taxpayer dollars to funnel into his companies. It's in his name.
So what's it like working with Project Veritas? And
Man.
where are they kind of at? And what are they trying to get to that same question of, hey, this is illegal? For sure, I definitely think there's an ethics breach here. We've even got a misdemeanor record of domestic battery.
We have a rap sheet, 4 pages of rap sheets. So it's not like, hey, I made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? This is 4 pages of oops.
This is 4 pages of and
right.
and this.
It makes you question: is anything he doing legit? Last meeting we went to, not last, but March. The one before that, they kicked us out. It was on the news. They all sat down, and once you sit down in your seat, a meeting is adjourned. Like you are ready to do a school board meeting once they're in their seats. And then they kicked us out because we went mask up. But they broke a public meeting act. So who's going to hold them accountable, right?
Yeah, open public meeting act, right?
You were supposed to vote on something, and you didn't vote.
Yeah.
You kicked us out, and it ran like rats.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and it was actually covered by their local news up there in WMBD, and we get their weather here. And they were covering this meeting, and all of a sudden, they just kind of got out of their chairs, and I was like, wait a second. If you're going to cancel a meeting, you can't hold the meeting and then cancel it like 5 minutes into that meeting. You have to let the public know. I think it's, I don't know how many days off the top of my head, but you have to let them know in advance that you're canceling that meeting.
Yes.
Like in advance, right? And Normal, there was the town of Normal had actually broken their Open Meetings Act way back when.
And what happened to that? Do you know?
Yeah, it actually came to something. They were actually held accountable, and it was they were told you cannot do that.
Right.
And I think that there was something that came out about it. I'd have to look it up the article, but somebody actually got a hold of it, and it was actually, I think, the BLN News that covered it here locally. That's Diane Benjamin, about the community and the Public Meetings Act. And they like to play that stuff all of the time when it comes to these Open Meetings Act. They'll schedule, the same type of meetings on the same day where you can't go as a community member. And this is what they do. It's a buildup over time, right? There is no reason why people have not seen this domestic battery charge, right? And elected to this guy. I mean, I say what you will, a mistake or whatever, but this is a lot of mistakes. And in this sheriff's report, he actually, I don't know if this is the Circuit Court of the 10th Judicial District, and it's a file, and he was supposed to serve community service, right?
75 hours of domestic violence classes, and he did not do it. They petitioned to revoke him because he wasn't completing his things that he was supposed to do. So this is y'all's president, guys, of a school board making big decisions and choices for our children. We need to do better. We need to stand up in numbers. That's what I've been begging people, since Darren Bailey's rally and coming on the show last time. I've been begging for people to wake up and just pay attention. These are our future. These children are our future. If you're not invested in them, then what are you doing? Like, this is important stuff. This guy, he just changed 4 of our school names. I know that was all broadcasted. For what? He said it was because they were racist. But it was one guy that voted on it, and guess who it was? Gregory. So this guy is making all these choices, got all this power. At what cost? At a dime from our children, from forced mandating our children.
And he's got all this power and money.
Yes.
Money. We're talking $50,000 to $60,000 funneled into these businesses.
Each business
that he has direct ties to.
Mm-hmm.
And these are PPP loans. But yet, and this is what I remember about the PPP loan, and I've seen it before, and they're using it actually for a gubernatorial candidate. You brought up Darren Bailey. They went after Darren for taking out a PPP loan, right? And I know the left is going to bring this up, so I bring it up before y'all can. Right?
That's right.
So he took out this PPP loan, and they try to use it against him, right? They're like, "Oh, you took money from taxpayers for your small business, and why'd you take this much money?"
The same thing they did to Biden and Trump.
Runs one business, right? And it's a bigger business, right? So he allotted, and it's a farming business, right?
Right.
And he took out a PPP loan. This guy is an elected school board president, and
nobody bats an eye.
Nobody bats an eye that he has $50,000 to $60,000 funneling into all of these businesses that he has ties to.
It's not just him. I have the feeling.
That's what they do. They try to use these foundations and these like real cool names, and one ironic one, which is kind of concerning considering his background.
We need an audit.
Yeah. Well, considering his background, the goals, GOALS, and we're going to get into that. The hypocrisy there, right? Like, it's a foundation for girls, and there's this woman, Naomi Thomas, who was struck. And that's according to this judicial court document that I'm holding in my hands. She was struck by this guy, had physical contact.
He shoved her in the corner of a wall.
And that's all documented. It's all documented.
Yeah.
He was charged with a misdemeanor. Now, that's how they got I don't know who he knows.
They cover for each other.
I don't know who he knows to get that down to a misdemeanor. And that's probably
I'll tell you
why,
how
because
bad.
as a school president, you can't serve as a felon.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
So,
I'll tell you why. No attorney wants to touch it. I've called every attorney in Peoria, and nobody wants to touch it. Why? I've called every news channel. They don't want to touch it. Why? I've called every radio station. They don't want to touch it. Why? You guys are the only ones. You and Black and White Radio in Chicago, John Anthony, are the only ones that want to hear it.
Wow. Right here on Conservative Cat Cities
We love you.
92.9. You'll hear it here. Well, we're uncovering so much on the
Yes.
Conservative Cat
Love
Show
it.
today. And I just didn't realize how deep this really goes. And it goes deep, right? This guy has a misdemeanor. And full disclosure, school board presidents, they cannot serve on the school board if it's a felony. But they can serve when it is a misdemeanor. And that's how he's kind of getting around this. We were talking about the climate of the school, right? Peoria High School is where your daughter goes, Jesse.
Yes.
So Jesse is from Peoria, and she's been doing a lot of digging when it comes to the salaries of these people, where exactly this money is going. So the superintendent makes near $285,
Almost $300,000 a year.
almost $300,000 a year. Yeah, that's the superintendent. They also hired an outside security agency, right?
Yeah.
So it's an outside security agency to try to help combat the violence that is in their schools. And you were telling me through the break what happened on your daughter's birthday.
16 fights broke out, and the principal got beat up that day.
Wow. And this is the climate of our schools. And it's not just in Peoria, make no mistake,
No,
right?
it's
in
everywhere.
Bloomington,
Yeah.
and there's these gangs that are formulating in these
Yeah.
high schools. And these poor
Guns,
kids
drugs.
are guns, drugs, these poor high school students. And your daughter is a straight A student, B, I remember, very bright girl. And it's just like, where is this money? So we talked about these ESSER grants. Now, I've talked to Bloomington and Normal Unit 5 about these ESSER grants, and it turns out that these grants, there's a bunch of installments, right? So there's grants that the federal government gives you, and they're called ESSER grants. And this is what's really concerning. They're getting paid to continue to mask up your kids, right?
Yes.
Now, Unit 5 and District 87, they talked about these ventilation systems, where these ventilation systems, and they're called HVAC systems, and it's supposed to ventilate the air, and that they're very expensive and everything. But your school in Peoria, that district, $265 million in ESSER grant funds. Now, I'm sorry, but I don't know if that HVAC system, and I can't see the HVAC system. How do we know it was really installed, to be honest with you? I don't know.
We need an audit.
We need an audit. We need an audit. Well, and I'm looking at this list of all of their salaries, and there's administrators on there with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars being paid. And how much does the teacher get paid regular, like average?
About $55,000 to $60,000.
So the people who are actually educating your children, not these crazy administrators, are getting paid $50,000 to $60,000.
Yes.
For dealing with children who might have weaponry, right? By the description of this climate. And an administrator who does what exactly? I don't know. A lot of these administrators, they've got these titles, and it just says administrator, and they're getting paid $108,000, $174,000, $139,000.
Our security, $100,000, but yet our teachers who are on the front lines and deal with most of it, they're not getting nearly that.
Yeah, and that's kind of concerning to me. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. The resource officers. So resource officers are actually police officers, and they're placed in schools. So they have special trainings. Now, you guys don't have resource officers?
We have SARS, which is a security. And then the same security that escorted my child out for not wearing a mask, 3 of them, They embarrass my child in school, and it's one teacher. It's, you know what's crazy is my child goes to school. She makes a post on Facebook all the time saying, "Mama, I feel targeted," and that's sad. She don't feel welcomed in a school where she should, where our tax dollars fund. She don't feel welcomed at all. She feels every day targeted. We don't have students bullying her. We have teachers who are bullying her, that are telling her that she should have waited till masks were optional before she made some big fit and rallied with Darren and all this stuff. It is teachers, full-grown women, who are bullying children.
And it's like, and these are teachers who aren't even getting paid what they're, and this is the classic, and we see it at the national level, right? This level of mass psychosis. Oligarchs like Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton,
Amen.
Barack Obama,
Yep.
these people are not for you. Why? Why do you have a Joe Biden sign in your yard? Why do you have a Governor J.B. Pritzker sign in your yard? Wake up, the time is now. They don't care about you. They're using you.
Period.
And they're putting administrators, and this is what they do at the government level too.
It's everything to destroy our country. You know, the crazy thing about it too, I didn't mention it to you. We've been following things, you know, of course. And Mr. Wilson is affiliated with BLM.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's no shock there, right? BLM chapter. We've got one here in Bloomington Normal. It's the Democrat Socialists of America.
And I'm not saying nothing bad, you know. It's just
Yeah, no. But like, also look at that national level, right? The Black Lives Matter organization was corrupt, and they were money laundering, and that's not.
And it was on the news.
It's on the news, right?
She got caught.
That's not like a conspiracy theory.
I don't even remember that amount of money, but it was a lot of money.
Yeah, it's not a conspiracy theory. They actually had to stop getting donations because they were founded to be acting unlawfully. And actually, this is a great plug. HeartNotSkin.com. Head to Heart Not Skin. That's HEART. Not N-O-T skin SKIN.com, and you can
mouthful.
a mouthful. You can get your shirt, and they're actually a counter to Black Lives Matter, and they've kind of launched here in Bloomington Normal. It's a small little nonprofit, and they're absolutely amazing. They're great people over there. I've talked to the founder, and you can get your shirt online right now. He's trying to start a chapter, so anybody out there who wants to start a chapter, head to heartnotskin.com and start a chapter today, because we need to really combat these people.
We do.
These Black Lives Matter foundations, and they do this. They do the
divide
foundation
us.
thing. They do the foundation thing, and then they do all of their dirty dealings under the name of like something that nobody would disagree with, right? Nobody disagrees that Black Lives Matter. Nobody disagrees.
Nobody disagrees with that. Period.
With this goals, right? So
Right.
GOALS
For women.
For women, which is very ironic considering the school board president. He is Gregory Wilson, and he has a misdemeanor for domestic battery. He in this report, it says that he physically assaulted this Naomi Thomas, who is a member of his household. And I mean, that's all black and white, right?
It's all black and white.
All
you can
black
go to
and
the
white.
courthouse and get whatever you want to get because he's he's supposed to be an elected official, so it's all public records. But I got it delivered to my mailbox, and I've got more. What's scary to me though, Kat, is the town is scared. People don't want to stand up in fear of retaliation. I've had people bring me evidence because they have a business and they don't want to speak up because they're scared of retaliation. This is where we're at in America. This is where we're at. And, you know, they never lied when they said they was coming for our children.
No.
They never lied about that.
No, yeah, and they're coming for the children because you have this guy, and it really sickens me, and it starts to really grind my gears when they'll get out there and they'll talk to some left news media outlet, and they'll tout themselves, and they'll say, hey, you know, we're for safety first, and
Right.
I really believe in the masking of children. You, Gregory Wilson, believe in safety?
Amazing, right?
Tell that to your DUIs.
Yeah.
Right? You really believe in safety? Tell that to your DUIs. Tell that
And
to your
blowing over the limit in public.
This is not like your mess up, right? So, and you know, it's like this is not your classic man. This is a rap sheet.
It's a rap sheet. 4 pages of rap sheet. It's not like oops, I made a mistake and I learned from my lesson.
No, and it
like
goes all
several.
the way back to 2002.
Yeah.
It's got 2002 and 2007. He was theft without owner of consent. And then he, driver's license suspended. It goes all the way back to 2002. He's got charges 2006, 2007. When is this guy going to learn?
Like, it goes on, and it's like, we asked them, as parents, there's 3 of us, for a Freedom Information Act. We are starting the footwork. We're coming.
Yeah.
I can't really disclose what we're doing right now, but we are raising funds to get us. We're trying to find a constitutional attorney. That's hard to find in this town, around here, because no attorney wants to take the case. So we have a charity donation, GiveSendGo.com. Voices of the Future is the donation page, but we're trying to get a constitutional attorney to combat all this, to have our back, because this is deep. This goes back. It's not even just at a school board level. This goes to the politicians and the whole town, and it's sick.
And she's on the ground doing it right now, and we've got Project Veritas on our case. This is going to break, and this is going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
I am praying, and I am a woman of God, right? City's 92.9 conservative cat, and I'm not afraid to say that. I do believe that the truth always comes out. We've seen it with Black Lives Matter at the national level. We're starting to see it.
God's exposing, ain't he?
Hunter, yes. God is exposing. He's working in very real ways.
He's revealing the wicked.
And it's all biblical, right? I know. Jesse's in there.
Good versus evil.
Jesse is a Peoria mom, and we are having a great time in studio, really getting at the heart of this corruption. And that's what it comes down to, and we're starting to see it. We're starting to see it at the national level, at the state level, the Michael Madigan thing. And this is the sign, right? This is the sign that good will always triumph evil. Good will always come out and prevail.
God prevails.
Yeah, truth
God will always prevail.
Truth always comes out. So we have the Michael Madigan thing, and we have that he got indicted on federal charges. We also see Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, that laptop coming out.
Oh, yeah. It was true, right?
Yeah,
it was true.
So this, I do feel very strongly.
And Ashley Biden's diary.
This is harder, though.
It is. It's our own home.
Yes, it's your home, and it's people you know.
We could pull them out. I've already pulled one child out because they illegally sent my child home, not once, not twice, but 3 times for 10 days at a time. Does parents know the law states that the school cannot diagnose your child with COVID? COVID symptoms, they say, right? Now you got to quarantine your child. That's not how it works. They don't want you to know this. The school has to contact IDPH. IDPH has to go get a court order that says that your child is a danger to society with an illness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
that's what I talked about.
They're not doctors.
They're not doctors. So actually, that goes down to the county level, right? So McLean County is really, the health department is kind of not doing a great job at their job. So what is supposed to happen is if the school feels that the child or the student is at risk and has an infection, they're supposed to report that to the McLean County Health Department. From there, the McLean County Health Department has to get an order to get that kid quarantined, right? And into quarantine.
Right.
This is stated in the law.
Right.
This is a huge law that everybody kind of
skips over.
It's actually called the Right of Conscience Act, right? So very recently, actually, I think in the fall veto session, and that's what I tried to wake people up to, and nobody listens, right? You need to start calling your McLean County Health Department and the health department and being like, why are you not following the law? So what they did is that they started to hear that people started to catch on. Well, wait a second. The McLean County Health Department is supposed to
wait a minute, bud.
Yeah, they're supposed to be the ones that actually quarantine your child. And what happened was they were like, well, let's pull out some stops. What they did, they used the fall veto session in the state of Illinois to veto a 20-year established law. You can't do that in the state of Illinois. You cannot just say, you know what, I don't want this law to exist anymore. But let that be us
breaking the law. We're going downtown, Jack.
Yeah.
We're not pass and go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I don't know when people are going to wake up and start to realize that these people are not for you, they're against you.
And even though the mandates are dropped now, that's when people understand. Everybody's like, well, the mandates were dropped. It doesn't matter if the mandates were dropped. As soon as the first drip, you already heard what Pritzker said, it's going to go back to lockdowns.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be right back to square one.
It's funny you bring that up, Jesse, because there is actually this news article of Pritzker kind of alluding to the fact that we could see some
another
potential
lockdown.
lockdowns.
Yeah.
And what's to stop him, right?
More money, right?
He doesn't care, right? He doesn't care that there's a court order. At this point, they have so much power that they will continue to reign and have control of the regime. We are in a regime. This is a dictatorship. This is tyrannical.
It is.
It's a tyrannical regime. And we've got people who are totally fine with corruption. So this Michael Madigan case, and this is what I'm talking about, is like, and seeing all of these administrators and these numbers. So what Pritzker and the Madigan corrupt team did is, before Madigan retired, they installed all of these administrative roles in order to keep their people in there and to keep legislation moving in favor of them. Little hush-hush, like, hey, we placed, okay, so let's do an example, right? So let's say, an administrative role, IDPH. Right. So that's an administrative bureaucracy within the Illinois, and they're not elected. They're appointed by the governor, and the governor could be easily corrupted by Michael Madigan, and Michael Madigan placed all of these administrators in there. That's what's happening at the Peoria High School, right? But it's just local. Right. So we've got the state, we've got the national. They do it at every level, and the way we the way we bring light to the corruption is by working the system, exhausting the system. Do what Jesse is doing.
We need a clean house, America.
Yeah. Do what Jesse's doing. Start FOIAing, and it's really easy to FOIA. It's actually an amazing tool. I try to do it all the time, right? I FOIA'd some ESSER grants from U-High, or from Unit 5, and from District 87. Start FOIAing these people individually. Do some background checks.
Yes.
Do some background
Start
checks.
with the background.
Start digging.
And you'll follow it all the way.
How did you first come about, like, his record? You did a background check, and how did you go about that?
So I actually got word from a teacher. There was a few teachers, and what's crazy is we had 10 teachers that were ready to stand up, but I think they received an email, and they backed off since that email. And that's what I'm saying. The retaliation's real. And I heard through the grapevines that Mr. Gregory was having some relations with other teachers in the district. I'm like, okay, so this is the kind of guy, right? You get a vibe, and you're like, no, let me check your background. You're a public official. It's not illegal. I looked him up. Boom. I was so I'm like, this is not him.
Yeah, trust your gut, right?
It was 41 notifications on his criminal background.
Yeah, and you can look up his background. I mean, he's got charges, right? None of them are felonies.
No.
None of them are felonies. They're all misdemeanors. So it's not like, he can't serve on the school board. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that the hypocrisy of this all is what's concerning and should raise eyebrows.
Do you want a school? Do you want your child to go to a school where someone has that kind of charges and power over your child?
No.
And none of them would listen to us.
I think that even more so. Do you really are you okay with being so bendy to the fact that you are willing to let some guy with this kind of record tell your kid what to do?
Period.
No, I don't think so. Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We're going to get at the heart of corruption a little bit more when we come back. And I've got some news headlines you're going to not want to miss. I've got to give those to you real quick before you put your head on the pillow at night. And we're going to lighten it up here, I promise. I know we've been hitting it hard. Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9.
We lit up your world like the 4th of July. 92.9. It's Conservative Cat.
Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. You can call in and text in at any time. Be a part of the conversation. 309-451-9299. Now, I wanted to hit a couple of things before we go, and then we're going to talk with Jessie a little bit more about her her efforts in trying to expose some local corruption going on at a Peoria high school. Thanks for joining Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. I really appreciate you guys being here. So, Zucky.
Me too.
Zucky. He is connected with a nonprofit that helped shift Michigan's 2020 voting rules. The private organization has ties with Zuckerberg, and they gained access to absentee ballots and edged public officials out of the election process. So a nonprofit, they're connected to Zucky. And it's funded groups, and they work with the Michigan Secretary of State. This woman's name is Jocelyn Benson, to influence the state elections ahead of 2020. The changes included getting the state to alter how it used absentee ballots without an act of state legislature, right? So this is news, right? Because they're using a nonprofit to go and pretty much make some changes to election law, but not actually using the state legislature to do so. How do you change election law as a nonprofit? And they're connected to Zucky. So Facebook using their nonprofit puppeteers to infiltrate our election system. This is not democracy, right? I know the left loves to use that word. We're actually a constitutional republic, but this is not. I mean, we have a democratic process, which is the elections. And clearly, it's just a nasty, corrupt mess. And what happens when you have that corruption is you get people like the Peoria School Board President, Gregory Wilson. And Jesse, real quick, do you mind telling us what your next steps are, what you're going to do as far as, going after the school board, and how do people help you in your efforts? I know we just got a text on our text line. Yes, Mark Levin is a constitutional attorney. They had recommended, hey, Mark Levin is a constitutional attorney. Sean is always ready to take on a challenge. Sean Hannity, 917-261-5411. He loves a good challenge. But quick, let us know how we can help.
Well, first off, Monday is a school board meeting at 6:30 p.m. at the administration building in Peoria. Come and make some noise with us. People, power in numbers, always. It's alone. We feel alone. We feel hopeless sometimes because it is so deep and dark.
Hey. On Conservative Cat, you will never be alone.
We love y'all.
And that's going to
do
it for us today. But we need to have fellowship always. And I appreciate you guys joining me on a Saturday evening. You have a great day, and I love you. Bye-bye.
No competition, the opposition fake. I don't think they really want it. Loud is the recipe. Loud.